So far, we've covered, like the purpose of the prototype as far as, like on one constructor function. But what about inheritance? So in ES5 land, with inheritance, we're still using constructors, but we had to do a whole lot of stuff manually. And this is stuff that trips up, a lot of seasoned developers. So let's go ahead and explain this line by line. So we have a cat constructor function that inherits from animal. So how do we do this without, like these syntactic sugary goodness of ES6? What we do is we would call animal.call, or whatever the constructor, the parent function, parent constructor function is, we would call this call method. And what does that do? It calls the method, but it allows us to specify a value for this. Now, this is another topic of confusion with JavaScript, which basically further complicates this whole idea of prototypal inheritance in ES5, and it's another reason why it's always so confusing for people. But to simplify it, basically what we're saying is when we call this cat function, and we have the new keyword, a better example is here when we actually call new on cat. But what we're saying is this points to the current instance of cat that we're creating. So I'll say that again. This here is pointing to the current instance of cat that we're creating. And we're saying to animal, do all the things that you do up here. But when you do them, use the value of this that we're creating in this constructor function, cat. So that's the whole point of doing this. And we're specifying some different stuff here. So instead of just going ahead and allowing any value for legs, because it's a cat, we're specifying specifically that it has 4 legs. Unless, for some reason, we specify a different sound, we're going to default to meow, which makes sense for a cat. Now, cat.prototype is equal to new animal. This is one way of doing it, and this will work fine. It's just a different syntax for something that is further asked about in the question over here. So somewhere it has, here, object.create versus new example constructor. So yeah, you can do it this way. Nothing stopping you from using new animal here. You can also do it this way. And basically, there's not a whole lot that's different here. We're just creating a new object from this constructor. And we're setting the prototype of cat equal to that. And that's important because in order for inheritance to work properly, the prototype of cat needs to point to a new instance of the prototype of animal. I actually prefer this way. But either way will work. So moving on, we continue the inheritance chain by saying we have a lion. And that lion is going to call the constructor of cat with call, specifying to use this instance of lion with a value of roar for the sound that it makes. And we're going to follow the same procedure here with the prototype. I can go ahead and comment this out, and I'll just use the object.create method. And here, if you don't understand what this proto thing is doing, that's fine. Basically, all you need to know is that it provides access to the prototype object itself. So we can actually look in and pull open to look under the hood of what's going on, which is what we do in our output over here. Actually, let me go ahead and change this back because it seems to not be working properly. Okay. Okay. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying, give me the name of the constructor of the animal prototype, and we're using this greater than or less than syntax to show what inherits from what. So animal inherits from object, and notice I'm not referencing objects anywhere. That's done for me by saying what is the prototype of animal. So that's important to realize that at the top level, you're going to be inheriting from object. And then as you continue down the inheritance chain with cat, you can see that it inherits from animal, and then it inherits from object. And then one level further, we have animal inheriting from, or lion inheriting from cat, animal, and then object.